All right, so let's get into day four podcast story selling. How the heck do you sell from your podcast? Because we don't want to be a skeezy salesperson. I don't know why I felt like that should be a tone deaf song, but it did. Um, One of the reasons that a lot of people fade out is truly because we're not making money from our shows. We might have a passion project show and we think that's what it's all about, but podcasting takes work, it takes time or money or both. And we really need to have some revenue in there. It's hard because most of you are people that are doing something that is serving others, that is feeling good, that is, of service. And it's hard for healers and coaches to charge, right? Because we just want to give and give and give. Well, we've got to be open to receive. The more money you have, the bigger impact you can make. So we got to learn how to sell from our podcast. So we're going to talk about how to set up your episode, paid versus organic, your story, the listening journey. So the journey your listener goes on in the episode, and then of course homework because we love homework here. So you have organic marketing versus paid marketing. I added this in here because yes, it's part of selling because you've got to understand if you're going for organic or you're going for paid. The strategy behind both is like organic is that podcast story selling that I'm telling you as you're talking. Paid might be you selling your products through somewhere else. So organic versus paid, we're going to talk about the organic, how to sell in your podcast, how to sell on other podcasts without being skeezy. Yesterday we talked about our goals and our money goals. So what's your goal with your show? I hope there was a money aspect to it because although we are all good-hearted people, our time, I mean, if it's purely a passion project, go you. But to make a bigger impact, you do need some finances behind it because there's going to be a time when you need a producer or an editor or somebody doing some of the things. So you got to have at least a little bit of revenue drive, right? And how do you feel about sales? Are you happy face or sad face or somewhere in between? I personally am not the world's greatest salesperson. If you have been on any of my podcast CPR audits, which is at podcastcpr.com, you know that that is an actual coaching session. I don't bring up how you can work with me after. I don't do any of this. But here's the magic in that. I normally support people enough that they come back around and become one of my clients, either in my masterminds, they get some one off coaching, maybe they come into one of my courses. And I'm really excited because I'm also launching a membership in April of 2023 that is super affordable so that you cannot be alone. But do you feel safe? And did you see what I just did there? I was talking about sales. I was talking about feeling safe and I mixed in some of the stuff. Here's the thing about sales. Sales is service. When you take out the sales piece, if you love what you do and what you truly do truly serves people, sales are about conversations and connections and having and serving, right? That's what sales is. If you are selling something that you are not aligned with, then that's where the problem lies. That's where we have the issues. That's where it starts feeling skeezy. That's where the ick comes in when we talk about sales. Or when somebody just comes in and like I love that people don't beat around the bush, but at the same time it's like get to know me. Get to know me at least a little bit. Don't just friend me on one of these apps or follow me on one of these apps, get in my DM and say, buy my stuff. I have to trust you. I have to like you. Maybe invite me to a post or do something else. You've got to truly love and believe in what it is you are serving with and how you are serving and how you are selling and how you're doing the things and all of the things. So truly love your thing, love your podcast. Think about how you can merge and take those micro steps and really feel good about what you're doing. If it feels skeezy and forced, it's going to come out skeezy and forced, and energy attracts energy. So how do you feel about sales? Do you have a new version of what you think of sales? you know we have to break down the stigma of sales. Like for me, I'm so excited when my friends are like, "Oh my goodness, I found this new product. It's helping me XYZ." Great. If you love your service, like I truly leaned into podcasting and I love talking podcasting. And I will talk podcasting until your ears and you're so sick of me that you're like, "Jen, chill out." Because I'm passionate about it and I know the power behind it, not only to build your business, but the internal power. I truly think that podcasting is a healing modality. I know that sounds crazy to most people, but there's so much confidence and just like letting out everything via a microphone is truly amazing and magical. You gotta love what you sell. If you're uncomfortable, then we gotta go back to that beginning. Go back to those days, to the day one where you're really figure out like what your priorities, what it means to you, and where those blocks are coming up, those mental blocks. Because you might feel skeezy about sales because you feel like an imposter because you feel like you're not good enough to be doing this. I can guarantee you that you are good enough, and that's just your mind playing tricks on you, and it's hard to get past that. Sales feels icky when you don't feel aligned with what you're trying to serve. So whether that's price or the offer itself or whatever it is, that could be one of the main reasons why sales is so hard for you. You don't believe in it. Something's out of alignment. And here's a little pro tip that, since you didn't ask for it, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. If it feels really out of alignment and it's a price thing, lower your price temporarily and every time you make a sale, raise it. That's how I started with this. I started with selling something at $100 and then I sold a couple and that felt comfortable. So I went to $200. Then I went to $300. Then I jumped up to $600. Then I jumped up to 1,500 and then I jumped up to 2,000. Then I jumped up to 3,000. Let your body get used to it. Because eventually what you'll do and you'll find is you're like, "Oh, I sold that for $100. I'm frustrated that I only sold that for $100." Because then you have the proof in the pudding that it freaking works, and you're like, "I am so much more valuable than that." So the next time you put it out, if it's a price thing that's making you feel, ugh, sucked up, you know, we can fix that. What's a little tip and little thing that I've learned from myself and from my clients and from my coaches. So again, here's that resistance piece. I already talked about this. But where's the resistance coming up? Is it a price? Is it a misalignment? Is it feeling like an imposter? Where is your resistance coming up? Listen to your body, soak into your body. Take a nice deep breath. And when you think about giving sales, where is that showing up in your body? Why is it so hard? Like we were just talking about, where is that resistance and how can we break that down? So, episode setup and why is it important? When you set up your episode, like we were talking about, I think yesterday, with taking apart your offer, your revenue piece, and putting some micro or baby steps in, it is so important to set up your episode to draw people in. So, here's the thing. If I listen to an episode that rolls out a standard intro, which means that music, that one that's in every single episode first, I might not make it through that. That's why I always say set it up with a catchy hook, a statement of fact, a question, then put your standard intro in, then roll into your actual episode. Yes, it is extra work, but here's what happens is you catch your audience. It's like that cliffhanger. Then they hear your intro, then they're like, get the meat of the episode. If you just start with your intro, if that intro does not capture that brand new person that just found you, you are never going to get that listener. And half the time, your intro is not formatted correctly and not put in and is not going to catch that person's attention. So be very mindful of it. If you're placing podcast story selling in, so you're telling a story, make sure within the first 10 minutes, you're at least dropping hints of what it is, dropping hints or maybe where it's at or the name of the thing. You're not selling, you're not coming in and being like, I have a coaching program. Now let's talk about how I can do this. You can do that. Put it in as a commercial. Podcast story selling is sharing through story. So for me, I would have a catchy hook like, is your podcast not growing, but you have a mission, you want to make a legacy impact. This episode is for you. I'm going to teach you 3 simple ways that you can grow your show without losing your mind on the content hamster wheel. Boom, mic drop. Plays my intro. Going into the episode, I say, okay, I see you over there. I was you. Now that I have some experience with my 27 podcasts that I produce every single week between my shows and my client shows, I see what's working and what's not working, what's growing some shows and what's holding back other shows. Why this is important to you is because XYZ, my people that are inside my membership are getting XYZ results. And here's what I see as the most common thread of what the problem is, and then problem, problem, problem. So what I've done is I've dropped that there's a membership. I've dropped that I have a production company, but I haven't said come join my thing. And I've mixed it in there. And of course, the XYZ and the example are expanded out, right? We're not just going to like drop it and then drop like things. We actually want to give some value. So it's really important how you set up your episode and making sure that in that front half of your episode is some sort of a call to action, because not everyone will get to the end. So you want to catch them somewhere in the front. So again, hook them, connect, story tell, story pitching. I just told you, maybe you are, I'm just going to go with essential oils because it's, something that I've been working with one of my clients on. Maybe it is essential oils for busy moms that have, multiple young children. You could talk about your story, one of your client stories. And as you're in there, you're like, you know, before bedtime, we have our ritual of sitting down, reading a book, taking a couple deep breaths, and making it fun while we roll on a special blend of oils that helps calm the nervous system, that helps us get ready for sleep. And then you could go into like how it's helped, how it was before, what the changes are, and kind of again, you're story pitching. You're like, hey, there's this thing I use, there's this thing I use. Here's why it's helped, here's how it's helped, here's the problem it's solved, and here's how easy it is. And allowing it to be like that. So for you, the smaller podcaster, coaching courses, or even product placement can go into this, what I call story pitching. It's telling a story around your product, your service, without just pitching it, without saying, hey, come join my membership. It's 3 calls a month plus 1 masterclass, plus every Monday we're going to be doing accountability, and I'll be and checking in every week and doing that. Like, does that sound good to you? Like, of course it sounds good. You're like, okay, those are all the things I get, but why? What's the problem you're solving? Why do I want 3 coaching calls and a master class and that accountability? I don't know. Why do you want it? So for me, if I was selling my membership, I wouldn't be approaching it that way. I'd be story pitching. Like, I work with podcasters, or, I was a podcaster who wished I wasn't alone. I feel so alone all the time. And it gets very frustrating because the numbers don't move. And I wasn't getting the interaction with people that I wanted to. Granted, I also wasn't reaching out to people. I wasn't giving them a call to action to actually come and connect with me. I was just giving them one thing after another and definitely not nurturing my email list. But what I learned is having a community around me to build me up when those things happened was so important. And I noticed so many of the communities were so out of my price range that I decided to create a community of my own that allowed the little guy to come in and get the support to grow and to monetize, because your story is magical. It's somebody's life preserver. And if you're struggling, like, I wanted a place for people to come. And here's my mission behind it. And here's why. And here's the results. So don't sit there and struggle. If you want to come connect, here's where you can go to sign up for the membership, whatever it is. Story pitching. I'm telling you the story of why I created what I created. I'm telling you the stories of people that are getting stuck. I'm telling you the whys. I'm telling you different ways to fix it. If you can story pitch with 2 different ways, one action step they can take for free in your podcast, and one action step that moves them from A to Z as fast as possible by working and paying you, you're winning. And actually find a way. Again, it's all about connecting with those people. They're there. They're listening. They're giving you more attention than they do on social media. That's a totally different audience. Connect with them, hook them and connect with them. We talked about the signature offer yesterday. Again, deconstruct it. Always be thinking about the signature offer. If I could say it, I mean, I'll say it till the cows come home. Like, always be thinking about it. How can you break it down? How can you serve in little pieces? And I know one of the resistances, and you're rolling your eyes right now, and you're like, Jen, if I give away all these little pieces, people could piece it together and not come into the actual program and buy it from me. You're right. They could. But it's gonna take them a lot more time. They aren't gonna get your eyes on their thing or their problem. You're not gonna have your product serving them, your service serving them. Yes, if you go and listen to the Cure for Pod Fade, you can get yourself out of podcast. You can grow your podcast, you can make money from your show. But when you come into me, we go step by step by step by step by step and what's built out to your business, whether that's in my membership, my masterminds, or my one-on-one coaching. Even inside my courses, I build it that way of like, it's like a choose your adventure. So don't be afraid of giving away too much because you're like, Jen, you've baby stepped, but if people put every baby step together, it fills out my whole signature offer. I can guarantee you there's things that they aren't going to get if they don't work with you. And then keep your episodes to one call to action. I am guilty of this. Oh my God, am I guilty of this? This is so bad. I'll be like, come join my podcast CPR audit. Get it at podcastcpr.com. And then I start talking about something else and I'm like, oh, but we have a boot camp coming up on March 27th. So join us in the boot camp. Come to podcastcprbootcamp.com. Oh, but if you want to join us, come join us inside the Feed Your Business with Love community. All the information is in the show notes. Holy smokes. Pick one call to action and try to keep it there. I'm working on this myself. We're all a work in progress. But the ones that have a clear call to action, your content is story told around that call to action, you're going to be more likely to succeed in getting them into the next step. So, how to set up the story to sell, as we've been talking about it the whole time, is really think about what your call to action is, what that piece of your next step is, that journey they're on, and help them through it. Help them be inspired, entertained, or educated. Help them see what's possible. I personally like possibility marketing versus problem marketing, but mix a little bit in of both until you find your right jam. As you're telling a story, weave in, as I was working with a client, as I was using X product, as I was working in with people inside my membership, a win from, a person inside my my membership community. Weave in things like that. Again, you're not sitting there telling them XYZ. You're telling them, oh, look, you've just captured their attention with your story. You've just served them with your story. And yes, storytelling is service because your story is someone's life raft. You've just educated them or inspired them or entertained them. So as you're putting in these like little bitty pieces, like, here's what people are getting. Here's the problem we work through. Here's the success story of this. Here's how this product works. And you're weaving it into a story instead of having it like a cut and dry, like we're talking about this and then we're going to cut into this instead of having a commercial, selling it in, moving it into that one call to action. So much better. And like you're actually there to serve. If you're truly serving, your story will support someone in their baby step. Period. End of story. They will walk away with some sort of a win. Baby win, mind you, might be more than a baby win. But that is where you catch them is, hey, you've come to this free content. I've given you a win already. You want more? You want more? Come get it. Come get it. Come join my membership. It's only $47 a month for founding members because it's a win. And you tie things in that simply. So how to set up the story to sell, think about what it is, the story, and then the end, and you deconstruct it and you put it together. And I promise you, after a little bit of practice, it becomes easy. At first, it's so flippin' awkward, but let it be awkward. And again, your listener's journey. What is their journey? And this is their full journey. Like, we had the guy yesterday that was going out way into the abyss. This is like their short journey. This is their episode journey. We're just going to the end of the dock. We're ready to jump in. We're just taking them on a little way. But what is that little way? They're starting here. What do they get at the end of the dock? Maybe it's 100-degree day and that water is so nice. So we're just taking them on a journey down the dock so they can jump off and cool down. Maybe your journey for your episode is getting them to grab your freebie, come to a master class, buy your low end program, buy your high end program. But the journey of why do they want to walk down this dock instead of someone else's dock? How can they relate to this dock versus another dock? And that's really it. That's how you sell in your podcast. Is it's all about learning how to story sell, and it doesn't feel as skeezy. So I want you to think about your offer and identify 2 life stories that can fold into your offer. Think about 2 of them. And then do the homework from the last 3 days of this boot camp, because here's the thing. How can you create micro content of your content of your program or offer? Because these micro content, if you can fold it into these life stories, you've just created a magical connection. So that is what I have for you today. Post your homework. Tomorrow is hot seat coaching, and I hope to see you there.